This is our weekly spiritual class. The purpose of this weekly class is to give the true message of Islam, especially to the younger generation. So, in every meeting, we try to give some positive message in modern idiom. Here you see Mr. Rakesh Kumar. Today I have heard that today one of his colleagues told me that in his company they changed his name and now they call him Mr. Positive. And Mr. Rakesh is now Mr. Positive. From this example, you can understand what is our target and what is our purpose. So today we have some foreign guest. It is very good news for us. It is blessing. So I would request all the members of this spiritual family to say something about their experience. What is their, after meeting these classes, what they found before attending these classes and after attending these classes. So both the experiences I want they may share to our guest. So first of all, I request Mr. Khalid Ansari. Mr. Khalid Ansari is by profession he is a journalist and he is most senior member of our team. So I would like to request Ms. Khalid Ansari to begin this discussion, and then I would like to say all our members may participate in this discussion. So, Mr. Khalid Ansari.
I'm Khalid Ansari, as Maulana just gave me my brief introduction. But I think more than all these words, what Maulana has said, the 100% credit for my evolution in terms of my spiritual understanding of my existence goes to Maulana. Well, tracing the history back, I would like to recall that almost 5.5 or I would say 6 years ago, I used to be a completely bewildered person, very strongly believed in mysticism, discipline of spirituality, went to various ashrams and places of various activities under Vedanta or Hebrewism, which is Kabbalah, or you talk about Book of Psalms and various other areas. My pursuit was I wanted to understand life, but the more I got into the deeper realms of spirituality, so-called mysticism, I became further confused. Continuing with this thought, my most interesting and the most impactful experience, which I can recall right now, is that I went to a place in Rajasthan called Jodhpur, and I met a gentleman over there called Pandit Narayan Dutt Shrimali. He is considered to be an authority in terms of Vedanta and mysticism. So I was given to believe by various spiritual masters that he is the only person who could address my intellectual quest. I went to him and put up my questions. Instead of answering those questions directly, he struck a deal with me. And the deal was that I had to surrender for a couple of months to him. And during that, I was supposed to go or have an insight into my inner self, leading to the various openings of chakras, I mean energy centers inside my body, see the entire cosmos outside my existence, and relate that to my inner self. It's a discipline practiced under Vedanta, and sometimes to open those energy chakras, there is another way which is called Tratak, which is concentrating on a point and evoking radiation and then absorbing it and finally fine tuning the energy wavelength to your inner body. And there comes a situation when there is amatra, which is inner silence. So I experienced all that, but even after completion of that 3 to 4 months time, I put up a question to my guru over there that my questions are still unanswered. So his last resort was, it's a matter of belief, not the reason. I was completely baffled because at the beginning he said, you will get the rational explanation, but in the end, I didn't get all that what I was expecting. So it was almost 5.5 years ago, I came to know about Maulana Wahiduddin Khan, though I read about him in various publications, English dailies, in Urdu uh, magazines also. But I used to think that he is one gentleman who is different from the rest, and also there was a sizable opposition to his thought, his way of spiritual perspective. And the more I tried to get close to him or understand his thought, I was discouraged by none other than my immediate family members. Because I was born in a Muslim family, my mind was conditioned. Though I claimed to be rational, but still, when I introspected, I wasn't because of the conditioning and the baggage of belief system I was carrying. But there came a turning point. Two, three very close friend of mine at that point of time, all of us got together and sought an appointment with Maulana, came over here, met him. So to my surprise, he came across as a person who said, shoot as many as questions you want and they will be answered. But for that, you'll have to realign your thought. What you are looking for is your perspective. If you really want to understand, if you really want to decode the puzzle of life, then you'll have to change your perspective. You will have to understand from the beginning, which is the creation plan of God, the creator of the entire universe. I read his books, and as a parallel activity, started coming on Sunday, which the activity is still continuing, and this is called Sunday classes these days. So, my journey in brief from the life provider, the sustainer, the ultimate reality called God, who was abstract at that point of time. And today, that very personality has become an absolute reality for me. Today, I feel the contribution to Maulana's explanation to my reasoning, it culminated into the elevation of my consciousness to the level that when I do certain activities, inside me there is a mechanism which has a very strong check and makes me think whether this particular action is going to Give me the qualification or disqualification for the life which is going to unfold once all the ephemeral elements of my body disappear here. So it's a long, long journey, but in totality, from negativity, from conditioning, I graduated to positivity, and my thought, the entire process got re engineered, realigned. And today, what I see when I interact with people, instead of looking at me, myself, mine, and the first person account, I look at other person with the intensity that if I have understood the purpose of life, I should share that wisdom or that understanding with others and let them also be the fellow travelers of the life in the hereafter. And the more we listen to Maulana, discuss things out with him, read his literature, every time a peep into all these spiritual realms, it heightens or widens my inner self and immediately connects to the life in the hereafter. Additionally, little more change in my perception. Earlier, I used to look at things, phenomena happening around me, and I used to think that it's happening because of the cause and effect. Today, I have consciously differentiated between cause and effect and the direct intervention of God into day to day life. So, a lot of times, what happens is that the incident or an activity is quite worldly, but there is a lesson in that, and my wisdom lets me transform or infer a positive lesson from that and immediately connect it to the life in the hereafter. So that's my journey in brief, from abstract reality of higher consciousness, which is God Himself, to the reality which is absolute. I would say, as far as the learning and seeking is concerned, that's an ongoing process. But to live this life, man needs conviction, and conviction cannot be divided. Simply believing like others that this is good, that is also good. In Punjabi, sometimes we call "ए भी ठीक, ते वो भी ठीक." That leads to confusion. Either ठीक is this or ठीक is that. Both cannot be ठीक. So I have consciously elevated myself from this and that. I know what is right and what is wrong, and that is because of lot of introspection, lot of brainstorming, and the credit for this conscious thought goes to Maulana Wahiduddin Khan, and this transformed person is Khalid Ansari. Thank you very much.
My name is Rajat Malhotra, and I am one of Maulana's disciple. I met him about 5 years back. But before I start, it is very pertinent, for all of you to know that what was Rajat Malhotra before meeting Maulana Wahiduddin Khan Sahab. I was a person whom you can call a weak personality. And the reason why I say that is because I was negative. I was a very angry young man. And I was a thankless person because I was discontented with life. I wanted everything. I wanted a big house, lot of money, big car. And since I could not have it immediately, it is very obvious that I would get frustrated or I would get negative. So that was the personality that I was before I met Maulana Sahab. Now, the search that I had all this while was to know what is the purpose of my existence. I'm telling you the reason for my meeting Maulana Sahab because nobody could answer that question. I had read so many books, I had met a lot of people, but none could answer that question which bothered me, which used to bring nightmares and which used to trouble me, that why did God create me? If I have to become rich, or even if I become rich, in the end I will die. So what is the purpose of this existence? Now, since I was trying to find out answers, I tried a lot of religions through Bible or through other books, but I never thought that Islam could have an answer to it, because I hated Muslims, and I thought that Islam is a religion of violence, and one should stay away from Muslims as they are bad people, and it is written in their Quran that unless they kill four non-Muslims, they will not get paradise. So with this background, you can understand that what thinking, what thought process, I must be carrying. And with a lot of reluctance, I met Maulana Sahab. And once I met him, life changed completely. Not only I have become a positive person, I have also realized the importance of life and what is the target that each person has. For example, today it is very clear for me that Islam is truth, and when I say that, I say it with a lot of conviction. I am 100% sure that any person, if wants to know what truth is about, he will have to read Quran and he will have to understand the perspective which Mulana gave me. Now, one thing that also Maulana told one day to me, which I want to share with you, which has also kind of brought positive thinking in me. He said that most of the thinkers or intellectual people died in a confusion, thinking that there is positive and there is negative. Man is always between the two, the negative and the positive, and therefore people classified society as haves and have not. But he said that Quran answers this question very clearly. Quran says that a man is between two good. So it is not a question of haves and have not. The difference is between have and potential have. And he gave the example of our own President of India, Abdul Kalam Azad. And he said that he comes from a very poor family, and so he could be classified in this terminology that he was from a have-not category, but he converted his potential into actual. So he was actually not from a have not category, he was actually from a potential have category. And we converted his potential have to actual have. And this is the case of every person. We should not see that, whether we have not got this and whether we should, always have it. We should look at in terms of what we have and what we could have. So today I am a totally positive personality, and I am also thankful to God for whatever blessings He has bestowed upon me. And my target is very clear. My target is paradise, and I want to save as many people as possible. Just like Maulana saved me, I also want to save many Rajat Malhotras who are probably seeking truth and they are not finding it. So that's my mission. Thank you.
I'm Sadia Khan, and I think I represent here all the so-called ultra-modern youngsters, the so-called westernized youngsters. I like the way Rajat said that, Rajat explained what he was earlier. I would like to tell all of you what I was earlier. 2 years back, I joined this institution, Center for Peace and Spirituality, 2 years back. 2 years before joining this place, I was this lady who was absolutely arrogant, very, very bossy. Many people out here would agree to it. And I never used to, I had no connection with the religion which my parents or the society, taught or represented, in the sense that my people around me wanted me to follow a particular religion, do certain things. They used to talk, they used to tell me, do this and don't do this. They used to talk to me in the language of do's and don'ts. Read namaz and don't go to a late night party. And that was something which never addressed my mind. 20 years of my life, I was fighting and howling and searching for a reason. I used to ask them, give me a valid reason as to why I should not do this and why should I do this. And that was something I never got. And there was a point in my life wherein I was so I used to feel so happy declaring telling people that, oh, I think I'm an atheist. I don't believe in God. God is a far reality. And people used to come and tell me, oh, you belong to this family. And how do you say this? And stuff like that. But after all that, after I met, in the sense, after I came and talked with him, after the Islam he presented to me, after the reason which he presented to me, which he gave to me, I had questions like, does God exist? Does paradise exist? I wanted rational answers. And he gave that to me. And now I can tell you that I believe in God more than I believe in anything else. Today, each action that I take is for the hereafter. And that could have only been done because of the reason that he gave me. And today, I think I'm absolutely transformed. Thank you so much.
My name is Priya Malik. I also came to Maulana about 6 years ago. And when I came to Maulana, I was also in search of truth. And whenever I tried to find the truth, I would go past Judaism and Christianity, but would never have the heart to read Islam. I could not believe that Islam could ever, ever, ever answer my questions. So any person who's to tell me that, listen, you want to know the truth, why don't you go and meet this priest? I would say, fine, so long he's a Christian, it's okay, because Christians are very, very peace-loving people. I'm okay about them. Or the Indian pujaris and pandits, I'm okay with that. Something very strange happened with me which changed my life. I had gone to Spain on a vacation, and I was traveling a train from Madrid to Barcelona. I got a chance to be with Shri Shri Ravi Shankar, who's a very renowned spiritual so-called scholar within the Vedanta fold. I met him and I sat with him in the train, and we got into a conversation. He was with his entire troupe of Art of Living. While we were sitting and having a conversation with him, I asked him one question. I said, Shri Shri, tell me one thing. He said, what? I said, happiness is something which is very well embedded into everybody's mind. If you ask anybody, young people, old, whoever, what is the ultimate destination? They say we want peace and contentment and happiness. That's the end objective of everyone. So he said, yeah, definitely. I said, if happiness is something which we are born with, I mean, as a goal, where is the object of that happiness? So he said to me in Hindi, which I'm going to just translate right now, he said to me that open your eyes and see everywhere is happiness. And when I retaliated in telling Shri Shri that I have done everything in the world which people told them it gave them happiness, but it only gave me disappointment. Beyond 2 minutes, 2 hours, 2 years, or maybe 20 years. I was a highly pampered child, and if my father would not book me on a trip to go abroad overseas with my friends, I thought there was something wrong in his love for me. So on a Thursday evening, I used to make request to my dad that, listen, tomorrow I want to go to London with my friends, and if he wouldn't book me on that flight, there was really something drastically wrong with his love. So that is the kind of stuff that I grew with. But as I grew older, I realized that at 24, I'd achieved everything in my life. Money was never an issue for me and my family or nothing like that, but something lacked in my life. As I grew up materially, my vacuum inside me only grew. And that made me question to my own self that if God has given everything and everything is available in this world, why is it that after having everything in the world, why does my vacuum only increase? That question really, really made me search and find out a person, a relationship, money, job, which would fill that vacuum up. And I went and searched with it high and low. I went everywhere in the world to look for an alim who would teach me and make me understand religion. That's when I read an article of Maulana in a newspaper. In fact, before that, I went into Jamaat Islami group as well, and I met them, and I questioned them. I said, I want to know about Islam. So they gave me a list of about 20 books, and each book had things like how to build a good character with Islam, women in Islam, parda system in Islam, hijab, or whatever. I said, these things are good, these books are good. if a person has embraced Islam, the question, I've not reached that state, what books do you have for non-Muslims? There was a gentleman within the group, in the delegation. He came up to me. He said, sister, if you don't mind, why don't you read this book of Maulana, which is called The God Arises? He said, Maulana Wahiduddin Khan, you read this book. I gift it to you. And I said, how come this book is not there in your library? He said, well, there's certain reasons for us not having this book, but you must read it. I read the book in about 3 weeks, and then I read an article of Maulana in Hindustan Times daily. And after I read the article, I took an appointment with him, and I came and met him. And I still remember when I came the first time to meet him, I was not aligned to be listening to a Maulana, because everybody told me don't go to Maulvi and Maulanas, because my experience with them had been very, very bad. Any alim or any Maulana that I spoke to, they would say, they would not give me any reasons and would tell me to accept something. And this was something which was completely impossible for me to accept. So when I came to Maulana, he completely reconditioned my mind, and he gave me a reason which was higher than my own belief system. And unless someone gives you that reason, you can never change. And when he told me the real phase of Islam, like all of us, me, Rajat and Khalid, we all came together initially. We immediately changed our stance and started reading about Islam. And a second thing that he told me very clearly, which I remember still, he said, what is your objective in life? I said, truth is my objective in life. He said, if truth is the objective in life, then you have to rise above emotional biases. If truth is your objective, then you have to rise above emotional biases. Means do not be conditioned that you should get answers within what text you are searching in. Completely focus yourself on the truth and read based on a criterion. Read all the scriptures. I read Vedanta, I read Christianity, I read everything. I read Bible, everything you name it, I read. Complete with an open thought. And eventually then read the Quran and understood about it, and then finally got into the Islamic spirituality. That's my journey.
Well, I would like to start by saying that I was just a normal teenager, who used to live for for music and fashion and everything that like worldly pleasure and all. But then after coming to CPS, I was made to understand that the creation plan of God, which is to live for the hereafter and not for this world. And these classes have made me become more spiritual, and whatever I do, whatever I do, I'm particularly conscious of God.
I am Maria, and I started coming to these classes very consistently about not even 1 year ago, but some months ago, maybe 9 months. And as two of my predecessors have just come, Sadia and Sufia, who said that they were ultra modern people and all they used to live was for fashion and all. I'm just completely the antagonist. I was a very studious person. I'm a big nerd. I've always studied throughout. I mean, I just give away all my time studying. I've been getting good marks. I've topped many times, but I always have this void inside me. I've always felt incomplete. At night when I used to sleep, even after topping in class, I used to feel sad. Then I used to think that if I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, I'm a student, I'm studying, I'm getting marks, I'm topping, then why is it that I'm feeling sad? I should be happy. I'm doing my job. Then why is it that there's a void in me? And there used to be many questions like that. And I used to be reading the TOI, the speaking tree of the TOI, and in HT I used to be reading the inner voice. Since the very beginning, I had this, this kind of a, want of reading such stuff. But I never used to understand anything. I was just not able to comprehend anything out of the inner voice and the anything. They used to talk of spirituality in speaking tree. But for me, I think it's silent tree because I was not able to, make out anything of it. Now I came to Maulana. No, before that, I'll tell you, I was born in a traditional Muslim family, and my parents have been telling me about paradise, the concept of paradise in Islam, which is that you have to be very cautious of your steps in this world so that you're rewarded in the next world. Now questions used to arise in my mind that, okay, if I have a life in this world, why is it that I have a life in the other world also? Now my parents had no answers for that. They used to just give me bewildered looks. So I started developing a kind of a blind faith after that. I've been started living in blind faith. I'm a very obedient girl, as I told you in the beginning. I used to read namaz 5 times a day. I never kept roza, but I used to keep namaz. I used to keep reading namaz, but I didn't know why I read namaz. I've been reading Quran. I don't know why I read Quran. I don't know the meaning of Quran. I'm able to read Arabic, but I can't understand the meaning. Now I came to Maulana, and I've not read the Quran as yet, but still, whatever after attending his classes, I've got to know that why paradise should be our aim in life. Now I'll tell you. See, paradise gives us a ray of hope. The concept of paradise is a ray of hope for us, because I'll tell you. See, every human being, it's human to err. Okay, it's human to err. And now, if every human being errs, he makes a mistake. Now, if you make a mistake, you'll always live in regret. So, the thing is that if you make regrets, you'll live in frustration. If you make regrets, you'll be sad out of yourself. You'll be sad in life. You'll live in frustration. Now, somebody who has got no concept of paradise will have no ray of hope. He'll just live his entire 80 years of his life, and he will say that, okay, throughout my life I've regretted, throughout my life I've committed mistakes. So he'll live in frustration. But somebody who's of the age of 80 has gone through n number of experiences, n number of mistakes, n number of experiences wherein he realized that he has committed mistakes. But still, if he has a concept of paradise, he'll know that there'll be a ray of hope for him. So he'll be able to relive his past. He'll be able to be contented, happy in the true sense of word. So Maulana, after coming to Maulana, first of all, being a science student, I always looked for rational explanations, and he first defined rational explanations for me. I used to just say that, give me objective logic for this. This is no rationalism. He defined rationalism for me. Then he gave me logic, and he told me that, look at the nature, look at the universe, look at the stars. The stars, if you look at them through the telescope, the numerous amounts of stars, the very what do you call, the very elegance of stars and the very innumerable number will make you surrender in front of the creator, because nobody can just create the stars. Also, if you look at inside your own body, if you are a biology student, you'll realize that there are so many chemical reactions going on in your body, and each chemical reaction requires an enzyme, and that enzyme is a molecule which is not visible. Now, if you understand the human body, if you see the complex processes going on, and everything is so efficient and so systematic, you'll immediately surrender in front of the person who's created you. So after coming to Maulana, I have just earlier I'd wanted to become a doctor. Now I've entirely changed my plans. Like the way Rajat said that I want to change many Rajat Malhotras. Similarly, I've also given entirely into this mission, and I only want to, till my death, in the post-death period, I like to only work for this mission.
I'm Vinny, and like Sufia, I'm also extremely uncomfortable in public speaking. I'm just too nervous, so I'll be very brief. That I was born Muslim, I was religious in a traditional sense, but after coming here, I realized that actually the work or the purpose of a Muslim's life is to spread God's message. And this very thought just reoriented my whole life. Like I was a very politically oriented person, right-based thinking, and I was concerned about social, political issues of Muslims. And then with keeping dawa in mind, or spreading word of God, I realized how wrong it was. Because if we are like that, we cannot spread God's word. So this really changed me. It really made me a different person. And like this, I was also a very perfection seeker person, and this would really create lots of problems in my life and would bring lots of negativity, which I would be able to, after I realized, because of Maulana, that in this life you can't get perfection. So this also really made me a quite a comfortable, happy person now. And and another thing, the last thing I would like to say is, I knew the concept of hereafter and all, but Maulana made it real to me. That's it. Thanks.
I'm Stuti Malhotra. Like everybody knew about Islam, I didn't know anything about Islam. I was absolutely ignorant of it. And to me, like I used to hear Allahu Akbar, I used to think that maybe Akbar is God, what they pray to. But after coming to Maulana, I came to know about the creation plan of God, about the concept of test, concept of paradise and hell. But before I came to Maulana, I was a dead superstitious person. I used to go to temple every day in the morning before having my breakfast. I used to wear clothes according to days, and I used to find out different ways how to please God. How can I make my God happy so that I get everything in life? But my questions were never ever answered, and I was always discontented, always cribbing, always crying. I used to cry every moment that what should I do to make my God happy? But I never got an answer. But after I came to Malana, there was a absolute change in my personality. I became a positive person. I know what is my goal, and now I'm in communion with God. I know the purpose of my creation. Earlier, like everybody, I was also a very materialistic girl, and whenever I used to buy a cloth, I wanted to wear it the very next day, or maybe buy a sandals. Then while when I'm buying, I want to wear it back home. I used to be so excited about, so thrilled about things, the material things. But now, after I've come to Malana, now the concept of thrill has changed. Now the intellectual awakening has been done, and now whatever I see in and around, I become thrilled on that. What God has created for us, little bit things, even water when I drink, that makes me thankful to God. So that are what the changes what Malana has bring into us.
I have started coming to these classes about 4 months ago, unlike others who've spent years and years. So my name is Varaja to begin with. I'll give you a little background about myself. I have been a philosophy student. According to Maulana, that has been the biggest damage that I've done to myself. And looking at hindsight, it has been the biggest damage, but there was a potential good. Uh, Philosophy was my major subject during my graduation. And at that impressionable stage, I was looking at questions about the existence of God. So I read everything from Descartes to Locke to Aristotle to Plato, Western and Greek philosophers. I read Vedanta, I read Upanishads. And I read about all the arguments for and against the existence of God, which were equally based on logic and rationale. And I don't know, unfortunately, the curriculum did not include Islam. So I had absolutely no idea, and I had no curiosity about Islam as such. Well, I kept questioning myself about what is the real philosophy of life that I should follow, but I did not get my answers. I was, of course, a very unhappy person. So I thought maybe because I'm not financially independent, maybe that's why I am unhappy. So I did everything to be financially independent in terms of my work. Then I thought maybe, maybe wearing good clothes will make me feel happy. I would do silly things like putting green nail polishes and purple nail polishes and stuff like that to give me some kick in life. And I realized that every happiness was like a mirage for me. I would aim for that happiness, reach that stage, feel happy very momentarily, and that was it. It was over. So there was no permanent happiness as such. So I was always running after objects of desire, thinking that that will eventually give me some happiness. And so it was the best of clothes, the best of traveling around, the best of food, anything that the best that this world could offer, I had it. But I was still not happy. So there was a big, big, big vacuum inside me, which made me question what is the purpose of my life. I always had this vision that, I'm on my deathbed and I have those last few moments to myself, and I am just looking back at my life, and I have a smile on my face that I have lived my life worth it. So it kept coming back to me that this is how my life is going to end. But then I kept asking myself questions that what will bring a smile to my face? Definitely not the career, definitely not the clothes that I wear, not the relationships that I share. What is it that will actually bring that smile on my face? And I realized nothing. I was still seeking answers that what is the purpose of my life that will make me feel that I've lived my life worth it. As such, the questions about God and the life hereafter, I didn't have these questions, unlike most people in this class. And God was far from, my quest. I was just looking for the purpose of my life. And then one day I met Khalid, and that was it. That was the beginning of my journey. And I shared this vision with him, and he kept probing and he kept questioning that, what do you think is the purpose of your life? And it kept coming back to me. Yes, I have to, I have no time. Maybe that vision, maybe I am on my deathbed tomorrow. I don't want to, end my life with a regret. I really need to find answers. And so I came to these classes, I met Maulana without much of hope, because I thought that this was all very, very religious, and this was all, this had more, and I had my own inhibitions because I was coming from a Hindu family. So I had my own inhibitions about coming to these classes because I knew that my family would never approve of it, because of their conditioning, because of the way the media has hyped the Islam, the Muslims, the terrorism in India and around the world, which is quite unfortunate. And that's the conditioning which my parents, my family, the society around is witnessing. So I never told them about these classes, and I started coming to these classes. And slowly, to begin with, I had no questions. I had no questions about the existence of God. And slowly, when I met Maulana, and I remember the initial hammering sessions that I had with him, and he said that first you need to find out that what your question is, because you're looking for answers and you don't know the question. So to begin with, he sorted out my life in terms of pinpointing out that these are the questions to which I need answers. And it went on and it made me think, and today I feel like a person, there is a person who is in the dark, who has no knowledge, and here is this person who has the knowledge and who knows it all. I don't think I can put it in words and I can say what this feeling is. It is a feeling of knowledge, something that you know where you're heading towards. And a person who has no idea where he is heading towards. Today he's there, tomorrow he's not there. Today I have a clear-cut direction. Today I have a path. I'm not saying I have attained it all, but the very fact that there is such a strong ray of hope has given my life a very big meaning.
Nice.
I don't know from where to start because I have lived all my life with my father, and he has been telling me so many things that I don't even remember what impressed me most. And I still remember that he used to tell me stories of great achievers like missionaries who had worked very much for their religion. So I still remember that I always wanted to dedicate myself to this mission of Dawa, because from the very beginning I feel that I was very, very serious and I wanted to make my life meaningful. I was just not happy to just for living what is called eat, drink, and be merry. So I was never happy. So the same is my case, which so many people have shared with you, that I was never happy. I wanted to make my life meaningful. So, and when I grew up and I started translating my father's books into English, so it became very clear to me that we don't have to live just like an ordinary person, because we are ummah of a prophet, of the last prophet. So it is our responsibility to spread his message to as many people as we can. So this was very clear to me that our mission is Dawa mission, and I always wanted to lead a missionary life. So I dedicated myself to this cause, and God has helped me in everything that I wanted to do. God is always at my side, and I feel that He helps me in whatever I do. And at the moment, it's God's great blessing that He has given me an opportunity to translate the Quran in English, and God is helping me in each and every step I take. So I am all the more convinced that this is the mission that God wants us to engage ourselves fully. Thank you.
My name is Navdeep Kapoor, and well, all of my colleagues here have said that they had certain things in them which were not answered, and that is why they came here. I had nothing of that sort. Let me tell you a little bit about myself and my family. I belong to a Punjabi family, and Punjabis, as you know, are just there to make money, nothing else. For them, business is everything. We were, from the very beginning, we were told that work, 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 and work. That's all you have to do. Though coming from a Hindu family, I never believed in idol worship from the very beginning. What happened was, I'll tell you a little story about myself. I was probably in the third or fourth class. No, I was in the fifth. When my grandmother said that, beta, exam se pehle puja zarur karni hai. I mean, you have to pray before you go, or you have to do idol worship before you go, otherwise you will not pass. I said, okay, if that's the case, I'll just do idol worship. I won't study, and I failed. So it came to my thing. I mean, this is not right. This is not logical. What they are saying is not logical. I've been a person who has always believed in logic, and so from that day, idol worship was absolutely out of the window. I never used to believe in it, and my family, though they tried, but they said, forget it. He's a Nastik. He will not do it. Probably that is the reason why Nagma and I met and we got married also. But from the very beginning, I was not a very studious person. I was always uh, more interested in sports, and I've represented state and all those things, and that was my career. I wanted to make my career in sports. But unfortunately, when I was still in the ninth standard, though I had represented state at that time, but my father fell sick. My elder brother was in Ghaziabad looking after one of the units there. But as my father was sick and he was in and out of hospitals, my mother used to be with him. My grandmother was looking after me, and it happened suddenly that one day it was 1974 when my father fell sick. Until 1982, he was in hospital, in and out of hospitals. In 82, he died. I was still in college at that time. I still remember. So my career in sports also got absolutely haywire. It didn't go anywhere. And I had to join business. Why I had to join business was that because he was sick and there was such a lot of loan on my head, on our family's head, that we had nothing. We had nothing. Absolutely, we were in the red. So all we did from 82 to 2002 was to work for 16 to 18 hours a day. So spirituality was nowhere near. I mean, I had no questions. The only questions which I had were that, what is my purpose of life? And nobody could answer that. I remember when I got married to Nagma, I used to go to her family, and they used to say that you have to do this, you have to do this. Unless you do this, you won't get paradise. And I used to say, why? If that is the case, only Muslims are going to go to paradise. What do you think about Mother Teresa and Mahatma Gandhi? What wrong did they do? And I never got any answers for that. So I never used to go. I always believed that what I was doing was right. Didn't have any questions. But it all changed in 2001. In 2001, what happened was that our family, we have been a very close-knit family. One day I came back from office, and my sister-in-law, my bhabi, said, just give me your passport. I said, why? She said, we are all going to Europe. I said, but Nagma is in Dubai. I mean, I don't have a passport. She said, okay, tell her to send a passport, send a copy of her passport, and I want to apply for the visas. And when she comes back, and ask her to come back immediately, we are all going. That's it. That's final. We had made, I mean, with God's grace, we were out of the red, and we had made some money also. But again, what happened was, when we came back from our Europe trip, my sister-in-law fell sick. And within 8 months, she died. That was the changing phase in my life. I said, if this is life, then what is the reason that we are working day and night, making money, and money has no use? Because with all that money which we had, we couldn't save her. We tried our level best. I mean, you will not believe it. The medicines were coming from America every day, lakhs worth of medicines coming every day, but still that could not save her. I said, if this is life, then what I'm doing is there's something wrong. There's something very, very wrong in what I'm doing. I must find the truth. I tried, went to a lot of people, but they didn't address my mind. All they had to say was, you have to do this, you don't have to do this. If I used to ask them why, they didn't have any answers. And my wife, that's Nagma, started a center called Clear Light. One day she was in Dubai, and I was told to come immediately to Dubai. I said, listen, I've got work here, I can't come. She said, even if you have to come for a day, come. So I took a flight, went there for a day, and came back. She wanted me to meet a lady who was running the center there, and she wanted to run a center like that in India. And she wanted to meet me to meet that lady. I found her interesting, but she also never addressed my mind. So it was through Clear Light that Nagma came to Maulana Saab for inviting him to give a lecture in Clear Light. When Maulana Saab said, you please talk to Priya, don't talk to me, please talk to Priya. So one day Nagma said that, please, we have to go and meet Priya and Khalid. I said, what about? She said, well, it's about that lecture. I said, okay, ek aur Maulana, let's go. I still remember the day, and Priya would also remember. I was busy eating. I was not listening to what she was saying. I was too hungry. I said, let me eat first, then I'll listen to what she has to say. By the time I finished eating, I had a lot of food on the table, and she had finished a talk with Nagma. I said, okay, we are going home. She said, yeah. I said, finish, that's it. I said, what about the lecture? She said, I have to go and attend one lecture of Maulana Saab, and then he'll come here. I said, okay. So she said, would you come? I said, no, I'm not coming. You go. So she went for that lecture, and when she came back, I asked her, what was it about? So she gave me a few things, and I found that interesting. I said, this man talks my language. I mean, this is what I've been thinking throughout my life. I must go and meet him. That was in 2004, September 2004. One Sunday, I came and listened to Maulana, and Maulana that day gave us a lecture on the creation plan of God. That lecture changed my life completely. That's the day. And from that day, I've not missed a lecture. I've always wanted to do work with Maulana and for CPS, though probably have failed very miserably, not being able to give much time to it. But he has made me realize what my life is all about, and that this part of my life is just one part, and it's a very small part. Here we are here on this earth for a test, and our result will be after our life. I mean, whether we go to paradise or hell will depend on what we do here. So that changed my life. I got all my answers, and that's where I am today with CPS. Thank you.
My name is Idris, and I'm a kid, 4 months old kid. I started attending this class about 4 months ago, and still learning. I have many questions, but I don't know which question to ask first. So I think I will take my own time. And as so many people here got their answers, I hope I will get to. Thank you so much.
Can you hear me? Yes. Yeah. Okay. Somebody asked his neighbor, you are in the company of a great Sufi saint, Bayazid Saab, जो कि दुनिया जानती है. तो आप, you are a Jew, why didn't you convert yourself to a Muslim? He said, very cryptically he remarked, if Islam is what Bayazid practiced, it is beyond me. And if Islam is what you practiced, I'll be ashamed to be a part of it. This is a very, this thing I keep on thinking time and again. And I see that in the name of Islam, what is going on, terrorism, violence, and things of that kind. And I try to search out, what real Islam is, and read Quran, read part of Hadith. And I found that Islam is, what basically any person, any human being, any broad human being would thought that is Islam. When I met Maulana Sahab, I told I am Ekalabya to you. Because there is a character, Ekalabya in Mahabharata. He sees the Guru from a distance and learns things. I have been a great admirer of Maulana Sahab. And I am a new recruit, absolutely new recruit. I joined here 2 months back. And I told Maulana Sahab, you see, I have no ideological differences with you. Whatever you say, whatever you are writing, my heart believes that. I believe in that theory only. I believe in humanism, I believe in peace. Islam also speaks on that account. I have been delivering talks here and there about Islam. And I mean, if you read Quran, you'll find 4 aspects of peace. Islam means peace, and peace has got 4 aspects. Peace within, peace with others, peace as a system, and peace to the soul. And I keep delivering talks here and there. You must have heard me some of you must have heard me in TVs also, and in interfaith dialogue, wherever there is a interfaith dialogue being conducted in, whether in ISE or India Habitat Center, I am one of the speakers generally. And Maulana Sahib is also in a greater sense. I'm absolutely, I was looking for a guru who would believe the way I believe. And you could explain things in much better way than I could do it. And I found Maulana Sahib as the real guru, the spiritual guru, or temporal guru, or whatever you say. And I came here and I found many of my answers. And my thoughts, the broad thoughts, the peace, humanism, Islam as a peace, message of peace, and Islam as a message of humanity, all these got reiterated. I have clashed with many people, I'll not name few of them. Nizamis, Hasan Sani Nizami. He's a great scholar, but once I invited him for a function, for a seminar, I was going to conduct a seminar on secularism. I said, you come here and come in that function and then inaugurate it. He said, Tawba is lab se mujhe nafrat hai. Don't invite me for such functions. किसी और functions में ना बुलाएं, लेकिन secularism का कोई concept मैं believe नहीं करता हूँ, and I will not agree. And one of the functions I was presiding over here in Ghalib Academy, I said, मैंने उनको बताया कि ये निज़ामी साहब ने ये बात कही थी, मुझे इतराज़ है इस बात से, और या तो इस्लाम को नहीं समझते हैं या फिर कंसेप्ट सेकुलरिज्म को नहीं समझते हैं. तो फिर उन्होंने वो बात वहीं बदल दी. उन्होंने कहा कि नहीं, ये लफ्ज़ इतना बदनाम हो चुका है जिसकी वजह से मैं इससे दूर रहना चाहता हूँ. तो मैंने कहा अच्छा, इस्लाम का नाम ही बदनाम है तो इस्लाम से भी दूर हो जाइए फिर आप. I clashed with another gentleman called Abdullah Khan Shari. in one of the functions. I said, humanity के बगैर कोई भी religion exist नहीं कर सकते. That is what Maulana Sahib had, written an article also about the, copulation of pollens, खजूर का पेड़ के flowers से flowers टकरा के. And in that concept, Maulana Prophet had questioned whether this is correct, that this practice will help, and the people had sought the practice. And then Prophet Muhammad had said, whatever is good for humanity is good for Islam. And whatever is good, not good for humanity, cannot be good for Islam. That is what Prophet Muhammad said. So I said, in that function, I said that humanity is much greater weightage than any other religion. And that gentleman said, you are making humanity as a religion. He clashed with me, and I had to answer, and I had to struggle hard to answer that question. So people are by and large convinced. But I was looking for a guru who could articulate things in a much better way, and answer few of my questions and convince me in a much more forceful way. And I found Maulana Sahab. I'll give a little introduction about myself so that maybe it inspires you. I come from a very humble background. I come from a village, and I studied till class 5th in a village, and I had to go to 5 kilometers away from my village to another village to, for my higher studies, to high school. And I passed out 12th class, and my father said, that's it. Now look after my household things and जमीन जायदाद देखो आप. I said, पापा मैं पढ़ना चाहता हूँ, आगे पढ़ना चाहता हूँ, कॉलेज जाना चाहता हूँ. He said कि नहीं, ये पढ़ाई हो गई, बस इतनी ही तुम्हारी किस्मत में थी, बस हो गया. और कोई यहाँ विलेज से गांव से कोई आगे नहीं पढ़ता है. I said, पापा मैं पढ़ना चाहता हूँ. Then my uncle came forward and said कि चलो तुम पढ़ने जाओ, मैं तुम्हारी मदद करूँगा. So then I was very happy. And the day when I was supposed to take admission in college, that same night my uncle died of tuberculosis. I had to stop my studies. एक साल मेरा बर्बाद हो गया. And the next year again I pleaded with my father to send me to college. He said नहीं जाना है आपको. So last day when admission was supposed to be taken, on that day I stole money from my grandmother. चोरी की, साइकिल उठाया, 30 किलोमीटर जंगल रास्ता राइड करते हुए साइकिल से गया और मैं अपना एडमिशन कराया. उस दिन से मैं ज़्यादातर मैं ट्यूशन्स करके पढ़ा के खुद खाना पका के मैं पढ़ता रहा. I passed out I did my graduation. I came to JNU for my admission. And JNU में जब admission आया तो JNU people rejected me. They didn't give me admission in master's degree. I said, well, I'll come back. Went to a university called Sambalpur. I became the president of the university. I became the topper in political science department. I became the sports champion. I became the best debater. Came back again and competed for MPhil course, and I topped the list. And mind you, I came with 250 rupees. And I took admission in JNU for my MPhil course and started preparing for civil service. And I took admission in the college, in the university. I took admission in the hostel, but I didn't have money to pay the mess bill, mess advance bill. And I starved throughout 2 years of my life. I didn't know what breakfast is. I took lunch, and I was not taking dinner. And if I used to take dinner, I was not taking lunch. And sometimes I used to remain hungry for 3 days, continuously, and suffered from malaria and lots of kinds of diseases. And still, with that struggle, I could qualify the highest examination, civil service examination. I can struggle with that, that background and come from a village, a remote village, from a humble background and come to this level. I don't think it's very difficult for all of us to strive hard, try hard, and strive for, taking the message of Maulana Sahib, which is, I think, absolutely the correct message of Islam, correct message of humanity, correct message of peace to the humanity, to the all human beings. Make a structure of social reformation, make a structure of, down from Delhi down to the villages level, make a structural aspects, and ideologically you should be convinced and make a structure and take the message down through his literature, through his message, through the teachings that we have learned, and we have to spread it. Thank you very much.
Myself, Dr. Mohammad Iqbal Pradhan. First of all, I want to thank God. He sent me to Maulana. Then secondly, I thanks to Priya Malik. She brings to me to Maulana. Incidentally, Priya was my patient, and it is my habit that I talk to my patients about Islam. when Priya came, I also talked her about Islam, but I was very surprised when she teach me about Islam. I was very surprised. Then she said, "I'm going to the Maulana's classes." Then I decided to come to Maulana's classes. uh, I'm a born Muslim, so my background is a typical Muslim family as namaz, roza. It is all Islam. Then when I came to Maulana, then now I think that I rediscovered the Islam again to come here after coming here. So now Maulana said us, you are required to do two things to show the right way to the Muslims and the right way to the non-Muslims also, because Islam is a universal, not for Muslims. So I learn here universality of Islam. Thank you.
My name is Sharik Ahmed Khan, and I've been born and brought up in a traditional Muslim family, and quite a religious family. And I myself was a good practicing Muslim. That's what I used to believe. But I think lots of people have talked here about lots of questions that they always had. I probably had no questions in my mind. I had always believed that yeah, this is the true religion, and I thought I'm very fortunate to have been born in this religion. But something that always got into my mind was that why I was so fortunate to have been born here, and why are other people so unfortunate not to have been born into this religion. So questions like these were the only things that I always had in my mind. And the other thing was that when I was in school, I used to think that studying is the toughest thing in this life, and I hope once these studies get over, I'll feel so happy, and I wish I was not studying. And I thought probably college life is better. And when I went to the college, and I enjoyed, but again there used to be exams, and I used to hate them. I thought probably once I go into my job, I'll have more money and I'll feel much happier. And soon came my job. I thought that even now probably I'm earning a little bit less. When I earn a bit more, then I'll feel happy. So when I started earning more, but there was something that I always thought, and I started believing that the happiness lies in actually waiting for that happiness, and the moment that that moment comes, so that moment is over. So that's what I thought that life is, that you can never be so happy. You can only be happy in the hope of something that'll make you happy. So otherwise, the moment came, it was over. So again, that bout of sadness just used to grip me. So I came to Maulana, and thanks to Vinny for that. And she introduced me to him. And then the change that I have here in my life, that I thought that I always am doing the right things. I am a practicing Muslim. I'm doing my namaz, doing my roza and everything. So I always thought that this is what life is. And once I'm here with Maulana, that I realized that he has got two things, that is God and paradise. He's made these two things so real for me that whenever in all my actions I do, I think about God, and I think He's made it a real living existence for me. That God is so existent that He is with us all the time. And that's what has changed my life. And even the concept of paradise, that's, I think that Maulana tells it so nicely. He rarely talks about hell actually, and which I had always seen other people talking too much about. But Maulana, I haven't seen him. Even I've been attending lectures for the, I think, about a year now, but I have rarely or haven't even heard talking him about hell. So I thought that so paradise has become such a real thing for me that I really want to go to paradise. And so for going to paradise, he's told me what all I need to do. And he has changed my life in terms of dawa also. That not also, yeah, because that is the sole objective of my life now. And to that extent that I think about my promotions, I think about taking up jobs, that I think that probably I need to change my career, that if I have to do dawa, maybe the work that I'm doing probably now will not be will be a hindrance for my dawa. So I think to that extent that my objective in life is to do dawa only, and it's just thanks to Maulana only that I have reached to this stage. That I think my overall objective in life is to do dawa and actually show the right message of God to the people around me.
I'm attending this class last 6 months. So I've learned here to how to be a happy person in this so influential world. Because if you see in today's environment that people are ready to fight with you on every step, people are ready to abuse with you on every step. So I have learned here after meeting the Maulana that how to get over control on your desires, how to be a positive person, because today's the people are thinking only the personal point of view, not others' point of view. If their problems, this problem, they never bother about the others. So I've learned these things, and I would like to thank the Maulana and Vinny who is introduces me in this class. And the best part of the Maulana, what I learned here, that Maulana is telling the spirituality linking with the practical things in today's environment. That is the so impressed to me. And if he's saying anything that this is wrong or this is right, the main thing is giving the 10 examples with the practicality. And if you want to, then you can check it is correct or not. That is the best part of Maulana. I would like to thanks. Thank you.
I was supposed to go back to Hyderabad and back to Canada this evening, but then Brother Khan asked me to stay, and I'm very privileged to be here. I knew Maulana for 2 years. I come to Good Word very often, and we publish some scientific books, and of course, we do some Islamic dawah in Canada. I have been there for 25 years. Without wasting your time, I want to relate the things which impressed me about Maulana's introduction to me. I have not attended this class. This is my first class. I wish I would live in Delhi and attend every Friday. We do have such activities in Canada, although we don't have Maulana. And I have a proposal later on to finish my presentation. We meet every Sunday. Friday is very busy there. People work late, traffic jams, it's material world. So on Sundays after Zohar we meet. And we invite various scholars, knowledgeable people, Islam, and then we talk about, we call it interfaith dialogue. We get people of all other religions. Of course, the community is predominantly Christian. But we do get Christians, we have some Hindu friends, Sardarji, Sikh people, and then even Jewish people come to us in the mosque. This is known as, the name of the institution is IDEA. That means Institute for Development of Understanding and Peace, something like that. And then we rotate. We go to a temple, we don't go to a Gurdwara, we go to a church. Like they are coming to us, we want to reciprocate. I think the main message we give Maulana, and I think you know a lot better than I do, that Prophet ﷺ was Rahmatul Alameen. He's not just Rahmatul Muslimin. And this has to be really exploited by all of us. He came as Rahmah, which is, the mercy for the mankind. He didn't come for, and I think Muslims fail to tell the world this aspect of this. So we do that, and then people like Sheikh Hamza Yusuf come, Yusuf Islam come, younger people are, like our revolting teenagers here who, mashallah, have come to the right path due to Maulana's help. There are lots of them there. And as you know that in the Western world, there are a lot more deviation and attraction and deflection you have than you have in Delhi or in India as a whole. If you combine all the distraction you have in India, we have 100 times more over there. Because over there, the world is completely materialistic. I want this, I want this, and there's no end. You can change your cell phone every day. There's so many new models. We have models of cars, and we have iPod, and just name it. You'll just waste your life in hunting for these ridiculous material things. So what we have done that, we have schools on weekend to teach people, about various things. For teenagers, we have halakas or circles in which we take contemporary issues. It doesn't have to be sitting down taking the Quran and read about it. Yes, of course, we read Quran too. What impressed me is this whole name, the Center for, I was just asking him, that what is CPS stand for? Being a newcomer, I didn't know that. It says Center for Peace and Spirituality. Maulana, it should be Center for Humanity, Peace and Spirituality, because you're talking about humanity. You're not just talking about few people. And I think I'd like to invite Maulana to come to Canada. We have various functions, and I think the concept of peace and then the whole the problem of terrorism and how the media or somebody, I don't know who's there, other than what some few people we know have done it. But there's one positive aspect we saw. The youth over there, my children, I have two daughters. They're married and they're settled and well educated. And then I have a son who is doing MBA right now. So I asked them, how does it affect you? I'm a research scientist. I'm in a completely research community. We don't have any problems of any kind. And then we do dawah and coffee time, coffee break. What do you think of this? This is happening in these comments. So the young people tell me that we look at it differently. It doesn't bother the universities. There's nothing going on in university. Nobody believes of this media. But one thing is very clear, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created a new opportunity and awakening so that people who don't know about Islam, they are now reading it. After 9/11, all the books, at least in Canada, I know, Quran were sold out. And so all the people were started buying Quran and were giving free Quran copies. It costs $5 only over there. And so we're buying Quran and giving donations so that we can give to the community nearby. So this is a good opportunity we found positively, and there was tremendous interest. A lot of misunderstandings about, as some brother said here, he has attributed Islam with terrorism or violence. This is how it has been perceived with. Other thing we also did, Maulana, is that we conduct called neighborhood open houses. Wherever there's a mosque, there's a neighborhood, obviously. So we have open houses every 3 months or something. We invite all community, irrespective of the religions, to come down to the mosque, and we give them a brief presentation of what is the mosque meant for. There's no hidden guns, nuclear weapons in the mosque. Just let them see. Go around and see there's nothing there. The books and Quran and the people. And then and they love, of course, the Indian, our food. This is really their weakness. So we exploit the weakness. Very nice biryani, and we have international food, Turkish food, Middle Eastern food, and we invite the mayor and the fire chief and police chief. So we have very good relations. So this terrorism campaign doesn't really bother many of the people, including me. So we do this kind of activities very often. Then we do open house for the mosque every year, once in the summertime barbecue. So we do reach people of other religions, and I think we try to tell that we are the people of peace. Jazakallah khair. Thanks for giving me this opportunity.